This is the Wandering Mike.
Welcome, everyone, to the Wandering Mike. Today I'm here with João Pedro. Hi, João. How are you doing?
Yeah, bro, I'm great. How about you?
Doing great. It's a good day. We're getting into spring.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Better weather's getting better, so moods are getting better. That's always nice. Yeah, so just to get us started off, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background? What is it you want to tell us about your life?
For sure. Yeah. First of all, I'm Brazilian. I'm
Mhm.
from São Paulo, and currently I live in New Zealand. I am 23 years old, and also an architect,
Mhm.
which means I work with architecture because I have a major in architecture.
Right.
And I come here to improve my English, basically. And I have been here since the last October. So yeah, that's it.
All right. So we're going to go into some of these things a little bit more. Something I always ask my guests as well is, what is your dream? If you would say the one thing, or it doesn't have to be a dream or a goal. If right now there's Joao that's sitting here right now, what is one dream or one goal that you see yourself achieving in your life?
Okay. That's a deep question.
That's how we do it here.
Yeah. But there is something about dreams because I had a lot of dreams when I was younger.
Right.
For example, one of them was finish a college. So I did. After that, I would say go abroad, live in another country,
Right.
and that I did. Right.
Yeah.
So I think there is the most important thing about dreams, or at least a trick about dreams, is when you reach a dream, you have to do something else. It never ends, no? So when you achieve a dream, you know what I'm saying? Like, you cannot stop, I think you always want to do something else.
That's a good insight. Yeah. Because a lot of people have like the idea of a dream that I do this and I'm happy forever. My life is achieved. I do this and everything is set.
Yeah.
But it's not like that at all.
You never stop, you know? So now, well, I think I'm trying to find a purpose, a life purpose. So this is one of the reasons that I come here to new to new to know new peoples. I mean, one of the reasons that I come here is to know new people, new cultures, and I think that's helped me to find my purpose, my life purpose. You know?
I definitely think so too. I feel like meeting people from all different cultures and getting insights into their minds, because our minds and how we think is deeply influenced by the cultures we grew up in, right? So that definitely helps us. Maybe if we stick to that topic, do you think there's something, because you came to New Zealand, you have never been abroad before, right? You've spent all your life in Brazil.
Yes.
So what do you think in maybe the first few months, like when you came here immediately, you saw a different culture, or also in the longer term? What are the things that you see in New Zealand that are different that you learned from?
I would say here is safer than Brazil, definitely. So when I arrived here, I saw someone at the library, and for any reason, the library needed to close early that day. So I was there like studying, and this person had a notebook, a laptop. We say laptop in Brazil, but the correct day is laptop.
We actually say notebook in
Oh,
German
really?
too.
Oh, really?
Like German. So I'm thinking about if it actually is an English word or not.
Oh,
I say notebook in German.
instead of laptop.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, I didn't know that.
yeah.
I spent my whole life saying notebook.
So we're just gonna call it notebook, and
Yeah,
all English native speakers out there,
yeah,
just deal with it.
yeah. I just accept that.
Exactly.
So she was using her laptop or notebook,
Yeah.
and we need to leave the library
Mhm.
early that day. And I saw her walking around using her laptop on her hands. And
Right.
for me, it was so crazy because I never saw something like this. So, like on the street, someone using laptop on the street, I never saw something like
So
this.
that is something that does not happen in Brazil.
No, definitely not, bro. Especially because she had a MacBook, and
Right.
MacBook are so expensive. All of them are so expensive
Yeah.
in Brazil. So when I saw that, I thought, bro, that's insane. It never happened in Brazil. Never, never. So this one. And also, another thing I would say, in Brazil, we don't have a lot of foreign. Um, es- Even in São Paulo, I'm from São Paulo, the biggest city in South America, not only in Brazil, but in the
Oh,
whole South America.
oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
The whole South America.
yes, the
Oh,
whole.
wow.
Even that, I didn't see a lot of foreign. So I came here, when I arrived here and I saw all these kind of people from different place, for
Right.
me, it's crazy, bro. You know. So I would say this it is the thing that has changed me. Definitely.
So what was that feeling like? Because you saw that person at the library, and then probably you had other moments as well, and you saw, oh, this is a safe place. Like, what kind of feeling did that give to you? Was there something that changed your behavior as well? Like, did you see, oh, this is different in Brazil? And what did it like? Did it change you in any sort of way? Just this feeling of safeness around
It's been changed me for sure. It is. Um, See different people from different place is a kind of a curious thing because obviously have everyone has your own behavior, you know. So you kind of have to adapt, like
you.
you cannot. For example, when I arrived here, I lived with Japanese people,
Mhm.
and they are so polite, so quiet.
Yeah.
So sometimes was weird. For me, for example, I used to speak louder,
Mhm.
So, but this is weird when you are surrounded by people who is like quiet, and you have like kind of be the same. You don't want to um scare these people, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think this kind of thing, you can learn with other cultures. You can absorb something, I think this kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's a great point as well, is the communication itself. Because for me, like growing up in Germany and then going to the United States, where compared to Germany, in my personal opinion, um, they are already a little bit more extroverted. So they are a little bit more outgoing in their communication. So, and then coming to Portugal, where the whole like they're communicating with so much emotion, and the people are just like you said, they're loud, they're enthusiastic, they're fast because they speak with emotion. And then you obviously have Asian countries where the whole idea of communication is you portray a sort of uh, stable and calm personality. So they try to talk not with a lot of emotion, with like a very monotonous voice and slow and controlled. So, yeah, I think that is definitely something that basically helps you develop your own kind of communication with different people because you see how they communicate. And yeah, I think you can learn a lot from it because if you only stay in Sao Paulo, for example, for all of your life, that's all you know. So yeah, there's not really a question. I just wanted to say, yeah, uh, I definitely feel that. Um, so those were positive things. What were the things you would say were the most challenges? Because you obviously said you came here to improve your English. You probably didn't speak any English back home in
Yeah,
Brazil. And I mean, as the people could have already heard by now, your English is amazing now. So it's gotten a lot better. And so there definitely must have been challenges that you
yeah,
faced when you came here.
yeah, for sure. Obviously, I'm learning. Haven't been learning a lot. Um, for sure, it's a challenge, bro. Because sometimes, for example, you can find yourself in this kind of situation. You want to express something, but you cannot because you don't know the words or you don't have enough vocabulary.
Right.
So, but it's it's a challenge, but a good challenge, I would say.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's not your mother tongue, you know. So everyone knows that. Even the native people here, they know that. So just keep doing this, just speaking. I think the best way to learn a language is speaking. For example, I never was a good student, the number one,
Yeah.
the nerd,
Yeah. The best of the class.
yeah, the best one. But I was one of the more enthusiastic, the curious one. So I think that's helped me in this kind of challenge. You know, when you find yourself in this kind of situation, you can just improve, like
Yeah.
you can just, I mean, when you find yourself in this kind of situation, you can just improvising something, you know? So that's a tool as well. When you find yourself in this kind of situation, just keep going, do your best, and that's it. I think so.
Yeah. I feel like, especially when it comes to challenges and learning new things, I feel like there's two kinds of people, and curiosity is something that really helps with overcoming these challenges and actually learning something new. Because the way you just described it is the way I see it as well, and it's a positive way, right? Because you want to improve, you want to overcome the challenge, but there's also people who are afraid of the challenge because they find themselves in the situation and they wouldn't, like you just describe it as a good thing. They would say it's a scary thing. I don't know what to do, and they don't want to try because, and that's just my personal thinking, because their curiosity is lacking, because they don't have the inner drive to overcome the challenge. They see the challenge and they don't put themselves in the situation, try to get away from the situation, and then they will never learn.
Exactly. Exactly. And because that's normal, as I said before, for example, in Brazil, only at least the last time that I saw that, only 4% of population speak English.
4%.
4%,
Oh,
bro.
wow.
And fluently speaking, only 3%. That's not too much because we kind of don't need to speak that, you know?
Right.
We only speak Portuguese
But
most of the time.
that is because there's a lot of people in Brazil.
Yeah, yeah,
How many roughly are living in Brazil at the
200
moment?
millions.
And of those 200 million people, 3% or 4%
Yeah. At least the last time that I
speak.
saw.
Right.
That's crazy, bro, because I understand why. The reason, um, because we only speak Portuguese there.
Yeah.
We kind of don't need to speak another language. So, but I understand when they start to speak a different language, it's totally different for them, you know? It's totally different to them, you know? So I think that's the reason.
I always find it very interesting because obviously, yeah, that's true. Like Brazil is its own huge thing. Obviously, you have Portugal where they also speak Portuguese. So naturally, the interest of learning a different language, whatever it is, because it might also be Spanish. Because in South America, you have a lot of Spanish speaking countries. So it might be of interest for someone from Brazil also to learn Spanish,
Yeah.
maybe more so even than English in the first step. But do you do you think that, or do you have an opinion on why? Because there's a lot of countries that you could say that, but why do you think specifically in Brazil the people are not as curious? Let's just stick with that word. Are not as curious to learn a different language. Why are they so like okay with just knowing Portuguese? Do you have an opinion about that?
I would say, first of all, it's been changed over time,
Mm,
um, especially because we watch a lot of series, a lot of TV shows,
right.
movies, and all of this stuff. But I think because we don't have money to travel out Brazil,
Right.
even travel between inside of Brazil, between the states, cities, it's
Mhm.
so expensive.
Well, even inside of Brazil.
Even that.
Oh,
So, for example, if you live in the south and you want to go to the north, it's really expensive. Sometimes it's expensive than go abroad, like in Argentina.
oh wow.
Yeah, like in Argentina or Peru, Ecuador. So that's crazy, bro.
That is that is very crazy.
So travel in general are expensive, Brazil.
Mm.
The base is already expensive. So they don't think about go outside.
Yeah,
So they don't need to learn a new language.
that does make sense.
It's already expensive travel inside of Brazil. I think one of the reasons is that I think there are several reasons. The other one, I would say, we don't have enough opportunity
Yeah.
to to learn. I mean, at least not properly. Have you been learn English
Yeah.
in my high school, for example? But
Right.
it was so bad. I
Mm.
didn't learn anything, basically. Just like verb to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
English is verb to be, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's about all you learned?
Basically. Uh, yeah, I didn't learn even that. We spent our whole high school learn this thing, but we didn't learn properly.
Mm.
For example, I learned verb to be in the present, but I didn't learn like in the past or the future, for example.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know there is like a verb to be in the future or in the
Yeah,
past, you
yeah.
know? But okay, I have a theory. I'm not sure about that, but I think they don't want to teach English there because once you learn English, you are able to go abroad. You are able to leave the country. I
Yeah.
think they don't do this for that reason. They don't want to do this because if you improve your personal skills, you are able to see more opportunities, more job offers
Yeah.
and something like this. So because I don't understand, I spent my whole high school, my whole life at the school learn basic English. And bro, I would say something too. It's very common to see someone in Brazil spend 7 years, 5 years in the private school. pri- private English school learn English. And for me, is crazy because you don't need 7 or 5 years, whatever, to learn English.
Yeah.
And even that, after that, they are not able to talk in English. Basic, just basic sentence. Like how to introduce yourself or something like this. So I think the government in general doesn't want this.
Well,
No.
I'm very happy you brought it up because otherwise I would have asked that question.
Yeah.
Um, because it kind of does sound like if it is like really on purpose or just neglect, whatever it is. But either way, it seems like, yeah, the system, the government, they don't put too much focus on that. So either they do it on purpose or they just don't care. It sounds like, yeah, there's no effort trying to really make people learn
Mhm.
English. And in your opinion, because obviously from the things we talked about, also off the podcast already, and what you already told us about today, um, obviously things in Brazil on some level are worse than in New Zealand, worse than in Europe. So, do you believe that if more of the population, so let's just say in a fictional world, there's 50% of Portuguese people that speak English perfectly. Let's just imagine.
Okay.
Do you think that 50% of the population would leave Brazil? Do you think that everyone who could speak English perfectly, that they would immediately leave the country?
I would say yes.
You think so?
I would say because once you learn English, you're able to go to developed countries.
Right.
So I would say maybe more than half, you know? And I think that's reason the government doesn't want this because they knows once they give us a good education level system,
Right.
we're gonna enjoy this opportunity. So totally agree. I agree with this. I cannot prove that, but I feel that. You know, because it doesn't make sense, bro.
Yeah.
Obviously, English is not that easy, but it's not that hard.
Yeah. It shouldn't take someone 8 years to then only speak basic English.
Doesn't make
Definitely
sense at
agree.
all. Doesn't make sense. They spend a lot of money because it's expensive.
Yeah.
A private school, it's really expensive. So I cannot prove this, but yes, I agree. More than half a percent of population want to go abroad. At least once, at least to travel, at least.
Right. But to make it a little bit more positive, what are good things about Brazil?
Yeah,
What are good memories
yeah,
that you
yeah.
had?
I have several memories like that. For example, Brazilians are so smiley,
Yes.
so talkative, so open to all the cultures. Because basically, we are made for several countries.
Yeah.
Brazil was colonized by Portuguese, you
Right.
know, and after some wars, a lot of Europeans um, went to Brazil. So we have all kind of people there. So we can accept easily a different person. Doesn't matter if you are black, white, tall, and short, skinny and fat. We have all kind of people there. So for me, it's amazing see all kind of people. And the other thing is the food. The food in Brazil, bro, is amazing. I so tasty. Uh, it's connected for my first reason. because we have a lot of kind of cultures, which means we have a lot of kind of foods,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So it's easily if you are from Germany, for example, like you, and it's easy to find your food in my country.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and all the kind, at least the famous, the not the famous, but how can
Like
I say
like
that?
the most traditional
Traditional,
dishes?
perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's easily. So people, food, and weather. Um, the weather is amazing. It's hot. Uh, is cold. No, so I'm from a city. It's basically in the middle of Brazil. So we have hot spots. We have and cold spot there.
Mm.
So it's amazing. You can go to the beach and you can just stay at home. Like you're gonna find all kind of weather, food, people. It's so mixed. You know, Brazil is a mixed country, so that's the reason I think Brazil is a better place to visit. To travel. You should go to Brazil, bro.
I will. It's definitely on my list. So
Yeah,
as soon as I make it over to South America,
yeah,
I'll definitely visit Brazil as well.
yeah.
Um, just to make that maybe a little bit more clear, because some people that are listening to us might say, "Well, you're from Sao Paulo, from a
Yes,
big city."
yeah.
So, do you think this diversity that you just described,
Mhm.
is that something unique to the bigger cities like Sao Paulo, like Rio, or is that really something you can see in the rural areas of Brazil as well?
Well, uh, I would say it's easier to find this, especially in my city,
Right.
because a lot of, as I said before, a lot of people went to develop the city in the
Right.
past. You know, São Paulo is not the capital of Brazil. Brasilia is, but Brazilian, Rio de Janeiro, is São Paulo. These cities are you can find easier these ones because you can also find in the south and north, of course.
Mhm.
But in some way, I think there are more traditional. For example,
Definitely.
I invited you to come to my city, São Paulo, but please, please, bro, if you go to Brazil, go to the north. The north is the real Brazil. Of course, you you can go to anywhere and you're gonna find different people, but the north, historically speaking, is the true Brazil.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. For example, a lot of people from the north or the south, but especially from the north, went to my city to work there. So my city was built by them
By the people from
from the
the north.
north. So definitely, I recommend you come to Brazil and go also to famous city, São Paulo, Rio, Brasilia, Minas Gerais. Go also to the north.
Do you have, for the people listening that are probably as interested as I am right now, do you have some places in the north as well that you
Yeah,
would say go there?
yeah. I would say Recife.
Yes.
I would say Maranhão. There is a place in Brazil called Lençóis Maranhenses. It's kind of, how can I put this? Desert.
Mm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
It's like no one is there. No one's living there.
Yeah, no, there isn't any build there, you know?
Right.
Only land, sand.
Sand. Yeah. Oh, it's like a literal desert,
Yeah,
like the Sahara.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I
bro.
didn't know there was a desert in Brazil.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Most of people don't know. Like, uh, the majority people don't know. That's the reason I'm talking to you to go to this kind of place.
Right.
And yeah, that's it.
Can you just repeat that name one more time for people who want to see the Brazilian desert?
Yeah, for sure. It's called Lençóis Maranhenses.
All right. Sounds
It is extremely beautiful, and you should go there at least once in your life. If you go to Brazil, go there. This is my tip for you.
Sounds very nice. As we talked about some places to see in Brazil, you also mentioned the food.
Yeah.
What is your favorite food in Brazil? If we just stick to Brazil, like
Mhm,
maybe just doesn't need to be one thing, but again, the people that are interested right now,
mhm.
what would you say? If you go to Brazil, what do they have to try?
Okay. As I said before, we are influenced by a lot of cultures. So that means you're gonna find some kind of dishes. Brazilian dishes come from another countries. For example, I didn't know that, but recently I have heard about there is a food called pastel.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, do you know that?
pastel de nata
Yeah,
from Portugal,
from Portugal, but
Belém.
yeah, but this one is different. It's not the same.
Right.
Yeah, and this one is the one of the most traditional dishes in Brazil. But I didn't know that. But initially, it's come from Japan.
Oh,
Yeah, but now it's like 100% Brazilian. Because it's made by Brazilians,
right.
but it was influenced by Japanese. You know, so I recommend you pastel. It's very easy to find. Doesn't matter where you are there.
Right.
You can go to. It's a kind of street food.
Yeah.
So if you go to the street, you're gonna find this. The first one, I would say as well, lasagna in general. And lasagna is one of the most popular, the most famous dishes around the world. There is something in Brazilian lasagna, bro. It's very, very delicious. So I definitely recommend to you.
I can actually say to this because, as the people have probably heard on the last episode, my favorite dish is lasagna. And what people don't know is I tried your lasagna.
Yeah,
When you
true.
were here, you made lasagna.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, oh, you put olives in there? Oh, you did this? And it's different. It's different
Yeah,
than
it
the
is.
Italian lasagna, but
Yeah.
it was
Did you
delicious.
like it?
It was. It was really nice.
Okay. Nice, nice.
So
I
I can
appreciate
just, yeah, I can just tell the people Brazilian lasagna is different. So you definitely have to try it.
it. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it, bro. The last but not the least, I recommend you feijoada. Feijoada is the most famous dish in Brazil.
Oh,
Yeah, it's easy if you go to, for example, here in New Zealand,
mhm.
it's easy, very easy to find. Um, if you go to somewhere here in New Zealand, even here, it's easier to find a Brazilian restaurant
Mm.
offering feijoada.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically it's rice, beans, and cassava.
Yeah, cassava.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
kind of cassava, and it's really delicious, bro. And there is something about this today nowadays is the most popular dishes. But you know what? This plate, you know what? These dishes was made by slave. Yeah. So that's crazy. Think about that. Long time ago, only slavers eating this. And nowadays, it's the most popular. Everyone, even the rich, the poor, everyone's like these dishes. So it's so crazy when you think that long time ago, I mean, not too much, but long time ago, only slavers. It's like farofa was made for rest of food because it's a slave
Right.
dishes. So they didn't eat properly, so they invited their own food.
So they just took whatever they could get
Yeah,
their hands on, and
yeah,
basically
exactly.
the rest, so to
Yes, the
say.
breast. And it's very interesting when you think about it. The most famous dishes nowadays is this. So for me, that's crazy. Only think about it.
Yeah. It's it's interesting because in a lot of places, you have a dish like that where it's basically it doesn't always have the history, like, with this food that it was done by slaves, but just in general, throwing together things that you had left over, or just like what a lot of people also call poor people's foods, like the jambalaya in New Orleans, for example, where they just put everything they could get their hands on in a bowl and they put spices on it and they put it together. And now, if you go to New Orleans, like, you need to try jambalaya. And we have something like that in Germany as well, actually, where it's called, well, I don't even know what it's called, but it's like a stew basically as well. So you just put all your stuff in a stew and that's it. So yeah, it's interesting how these things develop and then people like it and it gets famous.
Yeah, and we have this kind of habit, you know, bring some food from other countries and just do something different. For example, as you said before, with lasagna, but I can also say stroganoff.
Right.
It's come from, I think it's come from Russian.
It's Russian, yeah.
Yeah. And we have our own stroganoff. It's so
Mm,
tasty. And we also have our pizza. It's totally different. I have
yeah.
tried Italian pizza and New Zealand pizza as well. But there is nothing like Brazilian pizza. It's so tasty, so amazing, you know? It's there is a lot of things inside the pizza. It's not only like the pasta, you know?
What
Pasta makes sense if I say pasta.
the sauce,
The
the
sauce.
tomato sauce,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot of more things, you know?
So what, because I love pizza as well.
Okay, okay.
I love Italian food in
Mhm,
general because I feel like the Italians, they have food figured out. Like,
mhm,
they know how to make nice, tasty food.
mhm,
So I love pizza and I love Italian pizza. So I'm curious to
mhm.
learn, like, well, what is the Brazilian pizza like? What's the difference?
I would say you also can find a stroganoff pizza, for example.
All right.
So we kind of mix two dishes in a one, you know?
So probably like the traditional Italians would kill you because they're more traditional with the
Yeah.
pizza. They're like, yeah, pizza needs to be like this. Only this can be on a pizza. If you tell them that someone puts pineapple on a pizza, they
Mm.
will, I don't
Yeah,
know, jump off the roof.
yeah,
So,
definitely.
so that's kind of the things you do in Brazil. You
Yeah,
just experiment with
exactly,
what you put on the pizza.
exactly. You know what? In Brazil, especially in São Paulo, there are a lot of restaurants which won a kind of trophy
Yeah.
as the good Italian pizza outside Italy,
Oh,
but in Brazilian way, you know?
right.
I mean, some of them keep doing the same than Italians, but some of them don't do. They do the Brazilian way. So it's kind of crazy to say that because Italian kind of accept our way to do something,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
because it's so tasty. That's works, you know.
Right.
So they just accept. Okay, it's not like us, but okay, I can accept that. Okay, go ahead.
So it must be good if they
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
that's nice.
Can I ask something to you?
Sure.
What's your favorite thing about Germany? Like including food or place, as you asked me before.
That's a great question. I would say my favorite thing about Germany, it must be like stability, reliability. Because I don't know, I probably said something like that in the last episode. I don't even know if I said it, but to me, the German mentality sometimes can be a little bit boring, as we've already discussed, with just the different mentalities. But one thing that you definitely cannot take away from Germany is the reliability. Like, you know, things are gonna work, you know, things are gonna be punctual, they're gonna be on time, and it's just very stable. There's not a lot of big surprises that you can encounter in whatever way it is, like all over your life, whatever you do. There's a like unconscious stability and reliability. So yeah, you were never really surprised. You never anything bad happens, except of course for our trains. So people from Germany can relate to that. The Deutsche Bahn, uh, our trains are very unreliable. But other than that, I would say that that's a pillar. That's a pillar of being in Germany. You know that things are working. You know that they will work for a long time. I would say that that is the best thing about Germany.
Okay, nice. That totally makes sense. We have this kind of feeling about Germany in Brazil as well. When you talk about Germany, probably the people gonna think about stability as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely it. Um, that doesn't take away anything from the nature as well, though. Like Germany has some beautiful places. Like the nature in Germany obviously will be completely different to South America. It will be completely different to Southeast Asia. Um, just because I love Southeast Asian nature as well. It's so exotic to me, and I like it. And I like to live in Portugal where you have palm trees just everywhere. You know, all these kind of things are exotic for me as a German. Um, but with that being said, you have so many nice forests in Germany. You have the Bavarian forest, you have the Black Forest, and you have in the northern part of Bavaria, close to Nuremberg, you have very nice nature, which they call I can't translate that in
Hmm.
English,
Hmm.
but um, it's called basically I think the word is Franconian because the part of Bavaria is called Franken.
Okay.
So it's called the Franconian Switzerland because we always think of Switzerland as having this very nice mountain nature, and you can find a place like that there as well. And that's just close to where I'm from. And then if you go all the way to the north, we also have the sea there. So you have very nice seasides as well. We have some islands or half islands um, there as well. So it is very beautiful to visit as well. So the nature is definitely something in Germany to check out as well.
Is it easy to find a foreign people there?
Yes, I would say so. Um, the same as you mentioned with Brazil, it's more common obviously in the bigger cities. So Munich, Berlin, Cologne, Hamburg. These bigger cities are more international. It's the same in Portugal as well. So when I was in Lisbon, it was very international. You had a lot of people from all kinds of countries from Europe, to be honest. So most of the different people were from Europe. You had a lot of people from the north of Africa as well, as it is pretty close to Portugal. Um, and you obviously had people from Brazil and from the African colonies as well. You had people from Angola, people from Cape Verde there. But mainly it was in the cities, like other European people. And then if you went outside of Lisbon, outside of Porto, um, you went to these more traditional rural areas, people were only speaking Portuguese. No one was speaking English. And I think it's kind of the same everywhere, or at least everywhere I've been. So in Germany, it's the same. If you go more and more into the rural areas, it will become more traditionally German, and you'll find more people not necessarily speaking English as well, even though, of course, in Germany, overall, a lot of people know English. And I don't have any numbers, but the majority of the population definitely knows how to at least understand English. They can't speak it by themselves. Um, but yeah, so in the cities, we have a lot of different cultures nowadays, and from all over the world. So people want to come to Germany as well. They want to work there, and they want to contribute with their skills and whatever they have to contribute to our country. So it obviously gets more and more as well. But even when I was growing up, I had a lot of cultures that I grew up with. And I actually grew up pretty rural myself. Like the town I'm from had at that point, I think 2,500 people living in there. So it wasn't that big of a city. Um, but even then, we had a lot of different cultures. We had Turkish people, we had Moroccan people, Tunisian people, um, all these sorts of. We had some people from, well, Morocco and Tunisia are both in Africa, but
Mhm.
also like Central Africa. We had from Central Africa. So, in my opinion, obviously, it also varies from the part of Germany you're from. Like, for example, in the east of Germany, we do not have that much diversity. There you have, and that changes nowadays as well. Um, but you used to not have that much diversity over there. And for example, in the west of Germany, you always had a lot more diversity than in the south, for example. So I think the west, like North Rhine-Westphalia, is the part of Germany where for the longest time there was a really big variety, and they were always used to having this multicultural kind of thing. So yeah, it also depends on the parts of Germany, and in general, we're not foreign to foreign people.
Okay, nice. How do you think, how is live as a foreign in Germany, in your opinion?
That's a good question. It's hard for me to answer that question because I'm not a foreigner. I never was in Germany, so I don't know the struggles that they go through by myself because I never experienced them. But there definitely are struggles because more and more so nowadays, but it always has been there from the media, from the society. They were kind of not really accepted. So speaking overall in Germany, um, the thing is, I know that they are accepted on a on a closer level. So the people they grew up with, the people I grew up with, like we never had any problems because we were used to it. Those were just our friends, and vice versa. Uh, they were always accepted. But it would be naive not to mention that overall the society is not as accepting as individual people are. So um, they will always kind of feel as foreigners, which I think shouldn't be the goal, right? Because you come to Germany, you have a skill that you can contribute, you want to work here, you are paying your taxes there and all this stuff. Like you are becoming part of the society. So at least at some point, um, you should be just regarded as German, and especially your children, your grandchildren should be regarded as Germans. But most of the time, they're not. They're still regarded as wherever they originally come from, right? So in this kind of sense, they will always kind of stay foreign, even though they live in Germany for a long time. And I know from some of my friends that this comes with struggles, and a lot of the things I probably don't know. I can just imagine that there's a lot of struggles connected to just that feeling of never really belonging.
Do you think it's getting easier nowadays? It's become it's improving or something like that?
Feel like it has been for some time. Um, right now, but I feel like that's not like a purely German problem. I feel like that's everywhere in the world right now. I feel like there's a shift again to the other extreme. So I feel like there was a time where it was going into a better direction. Like I said, I honestly can't really give you an answer for right now anyway, because I've been living in Portugal
Mhm.
for 4 years now, and now I'm here in New Zealand. So everything I say is very detached from how it is at the moment. So I don't know how people live in this moment because I haven't been in
Oh,
Germany for 5 years. So I don't know how it is right this second. But in general, from what I feel like is that it is getting worse again, and that in general, people are trying to make these distinctions a lot more again. Concentrating more on the things that are different than concentrate on the things that we all have in common. So I feel like it was getting to this point at some point, um, maybe 6, 7 years ago, where it felt like we are more looking into what we all have in common. And right now, for me at least, it feels like now we're concentrating more again on the part that makes us all different. But I feel like that's a thing that happens, especially in Europe, like all over the place at the moment. If you look towards France, if you look towards Italy, I think it's kind of the same movement in all of these places.
yeah, in everywhere, I would say, right? I don't know
Yeah.
why. How is connected? What do you think?
Well, in my opinion, it's fear.
Of what?
In my opinion, it's fear because um, everything is kind of we were at a time where everything seemed to be good, right? The economy was going like in general, like um, or especially in Europe and like the Central European countries, economy was good, living standards were good, and then after COVID, like we had inflation, we had uh, all of a sudden all the prices were almost double as high as they were before. How properties become more and more expensive. So people feel like something is going wrong. So they're kind of fearing that, yeah, they're fearing that things will get even worse. And if you have that fear, it's always easy to find, or you want to find an easy cure. And the easiest cure, obviously, is to be as small as possible. That's just math, right? The country has 80 million people to take care of. Easier to take care of 80 million people than of 100 million, for example. So it's easier to keep a village with 10 people happy than a village of 100 people, just because these 10 people can always find easier grounds than maybe 100, which doesn't mean that one is better or worse than the other. It's just, it's harder. If you have 1,000 people, if you have 10,000 people, obviously there's more things you need to consider. So it's harder to find things that everyone is happy with. So if you have 10,000 people and then you start saying, okay, but 9,000 of these 10,000 people don't really belong here. We only care about the 1,000 people that belong here. And it becomes easier again to make decisions. So I don't know, but maybe that's part of it is the fear of yeah not really knowing how to handle things. So that's why you want to make it smaller.
Mm. Keep small. Yeah, I got it.
But
But obviously, it's not the answer for that. You know, we have to find another way.
uh,
Anyway,
obviously not.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
I'm not sure if this way is the best way. Because obviously, you're gonna keep a lot of people outside of this. So of course, it's not the best way to resolve that.
but how how is it in Brazil? Because you said there's not that many foreigners anyway, right? In general, so you don't really have a big variety of people in Brazil. Is that also changing, or do you feel like the population there will just stay the way it is? Or do you feel there's more diversity, or maybe it's less even? I don't know. How do you think that will develop in Brazil?
Okay, for who those who doesn't understand me, because I said we have a lot of kind of culture, but at the same time, I said we don't have a lot of foreign people.
Right.
Uh, I said that because indeed we don't have a lot of foreign people. Obviously we have, but not that much, not even close that I've seen here.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of kind of diversity. We are diversity, and we have a lot of kind of cultures. Because long time ago, as I said, a lot of people come to Brazil, come to Brazil, went to Brazil to stay there, and now their childrens, their son, daughter, and whatever, are Brazilians,
Right.
but they keep her culture in Brazil. In my point of view, obviously, everything that I'm saying here, it's in my point of view. But I think it's changed for sure. It's improving. You know, everything is improved in general. You know, you are more open. I believe more people like me want to learn a new language, want to go abroad, right? Want to study, go to a college or something like this. So it's also changed the culture, you know, changed the mentality, the people's mentality. So of course, nowadays we are more open. Nowadays, um, because in Brazil there is a singer called Emicida, and he's pretty famous in Brazil, and he says something like, "I travel around the world, and is one of the most racist countries country in the world." For me, that's crazy because we are so mixed. And I said,
Right.
my favorite thing about Brazil is it being mixed, you
Yeah.
know, being mixed. But that's crazy. And at the same time, we are so racist, you know. But I think this comes from not from us, from outside, you know. I think it's a kind of because there is when you accept people, when you accept cultures, you also accept their religions, their faults, and their races. So in Brazil, we have a lot of European, for example, and you know, European are known for being racist. Unfortunately, that's not true,
Yeah.
and we are influenced by them, you know, because there is this kind of standard. you know,
Right.
like European standards, right? Even
Yeah.
even that you are like German, that. Um, so, but I would say we are trying to be better nowadays. Accept more, to be open mind.
Feel like that's similar to what I tried to convey with Germany as well. Like the people themselves like the diversity, like they like the multicultural thing and everything. Yeah, but on a big scale, it still is like, yeah, maybe a little bit racist, and maybe it
Mhm,
still does divide between these groups.
mhm,
And yeah, well, how do we get from this topic
mhm.
to something more happy?
I talked to you about food, bro. It's a happy thing to me.
Food is a happy thing.
Yeah, weather as well, people.
I actually have another deep topic,
Okay,
but it's not as politically
okay,
influenced as what we just talked about.
okay.
So that's something I also kind of want to ask all my guests. So it goes into the same questions as with your dream. So my question is something like a legacy. So what you leave behind after you die. Is that something that is important to you? Is that something that you personally have thought about? And if so, did you think about what kind of legacy you want to leave behind?
Not really. I never thought about that. But I want to do something important, something good. And it doesn't mean I want to be famous
Right.
because you can be important to someone. You can you can be important to your family, your parents, friends, whenever, whoever.
Yeah. That's,
So I want to be a good person to my friends, to my son. And for that, I want to be something important to them. Could be give them good advices, good and different point of views. That's reason, one of the reasons I want to travel around the world to get,
right.
and like you are here doing this. I think it's so crazy. It's so interesting thing. You are getting different point of views. So definitely, I want to do the same. I want to be more white. you know. I want to,
No,
yeah,
that's something very honorable. Like that's something I think a lot of people should have as their goal, just to get more knowledge.
yeah,
Like you said, more wise,
yeah,
because the more knowledge you have, the more, yeah, for the lack of another word, wise you get,
yeah.
because you can use that knowledge and you can use those insights
Mhm.
to convey to your family, to your children.
And we also open to make mistakes. For example,
Yes.
I think it was one of the most important steps. You cannot learn if you don't make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? It's
That
easier to realize a mistake when you do this because you feel the result of this. When you hurt someone, for example, and you have to see them, to see the result of what you did, it's change you. No, when you say something uh, wrong, for example, like me, I'm speaking in a foreign language, and all the time I speak it wrong. I say I've been saying something wrong for for a while, you know, since I came here, I arrived here. But now I'm better because of this.
yeah, definitely.
I learned through my mistakes. So I think this kind of thing, I want to give to pass as you asked me for the next generation or something like this.
Yeah.
And it could be anyone. I can give this to anyone, my friend, my family, everyone. I don't desire to be famous, to be honest. You know, but to be important is a different thing.
Definitely. And I feel like that's a very good way of looking at it, trying to be important to the people that are important to you, right?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Um, so maybe into that same category, is there, you already said like you want to make mistakes, you're curious. So all these things obviously define you as a person. And these are things that influence what you do. Would you say there's a general philosophy or like a belief that you live with? Like, is are your decisions in life influenced by any sort of philosophy? Like, how do you approach your life?
For sure. I have some. There is a sentence I can also say in Portuguese and English.
Please.
So English is something like you are what you make of what happens to you.
Right.
In Portuguese could be something like você é o que você faz com o que é feito de você, com o que acontece com você. So it means you cannot control everything. You are not able to control everything, but you should, perhaps you must, to control how you gonna react before this. Because you're gonna find a lot of kind of situations that you have to treat, you have to do something, you have to react. And probably you're gonna find a lot of good persons in your life, but also bad persons.
Yeah.
But you have to learn through them. So if something happens to you, and I'm saying bad things, it's not easy. I know. Like I use this kind of mentality even for myself. I try to keep this thinking in this way, But if something bad happened to you, bro, keep it going. Do your best, be better and try to get a good point of view.
Yeah.
So definitely one of my philosophies that, you just, I'm just trying to keep this kind of lifestyle with me the whole time. Doesn't matter where I am and when I am, you know?
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing. And for people who listen to the last episode, I actually, Mariella and I ended up talking about something similar.
Oh,
And
so
yeah,
to be clear, I didn't listen the last episode because when we are recording this,
yeah,
you didn't publish your episode, right? Just
yeah.
the first one.
No, I didn't publish it yet. I just
Yeah,
showed it to you 2 hours ago.
yeah, right.
No,
That's-
I'm kidding. No, obviously, Joao didn't do the episode. I
yeah,
didn't show to anyone yet.
yeah.
Um,
So did you talk about that?
yeah, I think it was a little different nuance that you just meant. It
Yeah,
was about the same kind of thing because we talked about how I always want to be. It was very similar. I said I want to be in charge of how I react to things and how I look at things because we talked about some people that concentrate and focus on the bad things in life. You go outside, the sun is shining, you can always find one thing that you don't like.
yeah,
And the other way around, if it's raining outside, if there's a storm, you could always find one good thing. So that was kind of the way we talked about it. It was like focusing on the good things because you can never you said, you cannot influence what happens. There are things that are outside of our control that we cannot uh, influence. So we can only decide how we react to it. Because we also discussed that if something bad happens to us and we just spend the whole day feeling bad and sad,
Yeah.
that's just wasted energy.
Mhm.
Because now this person, this thing, whatever it is that happened to you, basically made you waste the whole rest of the day. Obviously, as you've said, it's not easy. That's maybe some nuance that we didn't discuss last time, but it's definitely true. It's not easy sometimes. Sometimes it's hard, but it's just about trying and getting better and better at controlling our emotions, controlling our reactions, and just acknowledging, okay, this thing happened. I didn't have any control over it. I'm going to be sad for half an hour, maybe, but then I'm going to go back. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day. I'm going to do the things I wanted to do. I'm going to keep following the plan I had and don't get away from my plan just because of this thing that happened to me. So
Exactly like that.
yeah, it was very similar, actually, to what you just described.
The last but not least, recently I've got another sentence that I really like it, which is the number of language that you speak is the number of time that you're human. So, in Português is something like o número de línguas que você fala é o número de vezes que você é humano. So that means the number of language that you speak is the same the number of cultures that you have. Because when you learn a language, you kind of learn a culture as well.
Definitely.
So for me, it's amazing thing in the like this because, as I said, I have been learning English, and I also learn um, the English culture in itself.
Right.
So just keep that, the number of language that you speak is the number of time that you are human. I think it's a good way to see that.
Yeah, I actually, for the people who speak Portuguese, I feel like it translates a little bit more even in Portuguese. Like when you said it in Portuguese, um, it reminded me of some of the personal experiences I had. Again, I'm not sure if that's 100% what you meant, but in my experience, um, you definitely change as well. Like by speaking a language also changes who you are a little bit.
Your personality.
Yeah, because if I speak with someone in German, the whole language is different. And like you said, the culture also kind of has an influence on how the language developed. And there's like structures to the language, how we speak, and there's words, Some languages have different words. Like some words only exist in German, some words only exist in English, some words only exist in Portuguese, like saudade, for example.
Is a
Like, or to give an English example, like serendipity, which is a word that only exists in English.
In
Um,
Japanese, ichigoichi.
you want to explain to the listeners what that means?
Out of the blue, just that
Oh,
ichigoichi.
but it's a beautiful word.
Yeah, it is. And I think as a Portuguese speaker, that we don't have the same word for that. So ichigoichi means you have to enjoy your time because, as we know, the time flies. The time
It
passes
does,
so quickly.
definitely.
So you have to enjoy because otherwise you're gonna spend your time just with like bullshit.
Yeah.
So if you are doing something right now, you're not able to do the exactly same thing again, you know? Which mean the people, you know, as well, like here, we are doing this, we cannot do exactly the same thing again. Even if you want,
Yeah,
even if I or you want, we cannot like copy exactly the same thing, even if you decide like to redo all the questions, every single question asking us is gonna be different
yeah,
in some way, in
definitely.
some way. So you have to enjoy your time, you know, because the time is never gonna go back, you know. So ichigoichi, that's the meaning of ichigoichi. I hope that I speaking properly. Um, but yeah, that's it. Ichigoichi, but keep going.
No, but that was yeah, just some of the examples. And obviously all that goes into the personality that you have while speaking the language. Because yeah, you also act different because English is spoken in a different way than Portuguese, for example. In Portuguese, you're a lot more. It's like in general, it's not that you do it on purpose, but you just speak faster. You speak with more like intonation differences. Like you go up and down, and it's more of a sing song kind of language. And the same also with English compared to German. Like German is a lot more like monotonous and like uh maybe close to the uh Asian languages we discussed. It's like more it's a more neutral language, you know? Um and even with some English expressions, they are very colorful compared to some German expressions. So basically the point I just want to make is yeah, if you speak four languages, you basically have four different yous.
Yeah,
Because you in German is a different you than in English. It's a different you than in Portuguese. Obviously, I think there needs to be like some like you need to reach a certain level of understanding before you can really experience that shift. For example, if your English is very basic, you still kind of speak German or Portuguese, but you do it in English. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like the difference is if you don't have a good enough understanding of the language so that you speak it more or less unconsciously without thinking, then you still speak German. You just do it with English words. But and the same for me, if I try to speak Portuguese, I definitely don't do it in a way a Portuguese person would because I don't have enough knowledge of the language yet to really naturally go into the flow that the language offers. So I probably speak English in a Portuguese way, or maybe I even speak French in a Portuguese way because I had French for a very long time in school. So that's probably the closest language to Portuguese that I would think in when I would start to speak Portuguese. But I would definitely not say that I am speaking Portuguese when I speak Portuguese. Um, but if you really have that level of understanding in the language, you definitely adopt that kind of cultural thinking in your mind. So yeah, that's a very nice quote that I have never heard before.
yeah.
That I like, that I really feel like it is true because from my personal experiences, that's definitely something that's true.
And I want to be more human, you know, like
Yeah,
showtime, free time for, you know, I want to be more human, you know, and probably you know this word, but I have learned. some specific words about cultures, and one of them was the word cosmopolitan,
Right.
which means I think you are. When I see you, I can say that easily. You are cosmopolitan. But as you said, you are from Germany and you live in Portugal and you are living here and you want to go and live in another country as well. So you have inside of you, I can say that you have inside you a lot of culture. So cosmopolitan means when someone indeed have a lot of cultures, has a lot of culture inside of himself. So I can say you are cosmopolitan, bro. And
Thank you.
that for me it's really good to be with someone and just share this kind of talk, you know. For me that's amazing.
Very nice. I feel like we had a very great talk. So now I don't feel bad to just make the last part of the conversation into a question after question after question because I did prepare some nice questions that hopefully our listeners can take some recommendations from, and then they can go ahead and check these things out. So, yeah, for the last part, I'm just going to ask you some questions about your favorite things. And if you can tell us a little bit about those things, I
Okay.
think that would be a
Okay.
nice thing. So, first question. Um, do you have a favorite book, movie, or piece of art, or even better, all three of them, that had a lasting impact on
Mm, definitely about movies. Okay, let's go and start with that.
you? Mhm.
There is a movie called Beer Collateral, and it's about my tattoos, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have three tattoos, which is love, time, and death.
Right.
And I did passionately because of this movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Um, I don't want to give you guys spoilers, but basically it's about three things, which I already said. These feelings
Hmm.
and death as well, but death, time, and love. I would recommend you to watch this movie. It's so deeply, it's so deeply. And he basically has or had a daughter, but she's passed away.
Right.
Before that, the main character, uh, by the way, the main character was played by Will Smith.
Oh,
Yeah, Will Smith is my favorite actor, and I really like this guy. And I bought his book, but I will not say like my favorite book is it, but I bought his book and it's really good. And basically, he lost his daughter. Basically, he lost his daughter, and now he needs to find a reason to live.
right.
So he used to write to the death, to the time, and to the love. And out of the blue, these three answered him, replied him.
Oh,
So this move is about this.
all right. That
Yeah.
sounds very interesting. Yeah, don't tell us anything more
Yeah, that's
because
it.
hopefully people will check it out. I don't think I have seen it.
Please,
I think I'm
please
gonna
watch
have
this
to
movie,
see.
bro. It's my personal recommendation to you.
Does sound interesting. And Will Smith is a great actor, so
Yeah. Yeah,
definitely.
definitely.
Um, yeah. Do you, if it's not going to be Will Smith's book, do you have a favorite book that you want to recommend as well?
Yeah. It's called Sapiens.
Setbacks?
Yeah. Have you heard about?
Oh, thanks.
It's written by a guy named Yuval Harari. I think it's something like this. Maybe.
I think I've heard the name before.
Yeah, it's so famous, right?
Thanks. Oh, yeah. I think, yeah, I think I've seen the book Sapiens, but
Yeah.
I've never read it. No.
Yeah. uh, I'm I'm not sure if I'm saying his name properly, but it's something like this, and it's about the history of humankind
Right.
since like long time ago, and this is my favorite book because he talked about our manners and our feelings, and he also talked about another species of humans. For me, it's so interesting because at the same time that we are totally different, for example, I'm Brazil and you are Germany, and but we are from the same species. And before there were a lot of species, and a lot of things happen. And nowadays we have only sapiens, you know. And he talked about that, and he talked also because sometimes we do something, but we don't really know why we are doing something
Yeah.
because we do like automatically, but we don't know why. And he has some of these answers. So it's so interesting. I really recommend you guys if you have time, please check this out.
I just remembered that I definitely know the book because I know it was, especially in Germany, at the like was number one of the best-selling books for a long time, which funnily enough made me not want to read it because
Oh
I was
yeah,
like,
okay.
"Well, how good can it actually be?"
Oh,
But now, if you recommend it, I love
really?
to check it out.
Okay, okay, please. And send me your feelings about this, If you like the book or not. You can be honest and just just tell me.
You know
And
me; I'm
if
always
yeah,
honest.
you are definitely. So we can talk about this all the time. It's
Yes.
gonna be like very interesting talk to someone about this book.
And the third thing I find interesting was piece of art. So, do you have a piece of art that has like had an impact on you?
Okay, for me, philosophy is a kind of art, and I already shared with you guys some of my
Right.
philosophy sentences.
Yeah.
But as an architect, I could not mention um, some architecture buildings.
Right.
Yeah, and so if you don't guys, if you guys don't know about some of South American building, I definitely recommend you um, looking for some of these old buildings. For example, in South America, not specifically my country,
Mhm.
but we have Mayas, the
Right.
the the Mayas people, and basically they built the same than Egypt,
Oh
the
yeah, like
Egyptians.
pyramids.
Yeah, exactly, the pyramids. And it's so crazy to think about it because they did almost the same than other people in a totally different spot, you
Yeah.
know. So I recommend you if you intend to go to South America, please go to this kind of place and see our buildings, our architectures, uh, arts. So definitely, I recommend you this.
That sounds. I should have seen that coming. That an architect would talk about that. Um. Okay. Next question. What is a thing that you believe everyone should try at least once in their life?
I have two things in my mind. First of all, you should go to live in a different country.
Right.
I think that's essential for your whole life, for you as a human. I now I'm feeling like before I came here, I didn't worry about that. Like for me, like I'm in Brazil, So that's okay.
Yeah.
That's my word. Brazil is my word because Brazil is so huge. So I can
Right.
basically, I mean, I don't agree with this anymore, but I thought this, like I don't need to go uh, abroad.
Yeah.
And a lot of friends of mine still think like this, but it's because they never went abroad.
Yeah.
So they don't know how is be with other cultures and how it's gonna change you. So definitely, and if you listen this and you never do something like this, please think about this. And the other thing is, I believe everyone needs to learn how to play something.
Mm.
Doesn't matter what. Could be a guitar, could be anything, drums, anything. Because it's for me, it's the first art, kind of art.
Right.
Music is the first art. At least for me, my point of view. You don't need a lot of things. You don't need a fancy tool to play.
Yeah.
So I definitely believe everyone should learn a kind of instrumental. Doesn't matter what, but at least once in your life.
Very beautiful. So obviously, the first thing I totally agree with, and the second thing I also agree with because I love music.
Yeah.
So, uh, very, very nice recommendations. Next up, do you have a favorite app that makes your life easier? Do you have something like that?
I could not mention, especially nowadays, AI things. You know, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Obviously, there is a lot of point of views about AIs, but I think if you can use this tool to help you, you should use.
Right.
For example, Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Recently, I've been using this also to improve my English, also to improve language in general,
Yeah.
you know? And I think you should learn through these apps, with these apps. Let them help you. And there are a lot of apps and with AI.
Yeah.
So looking for probably there is something that you don't know, but help you could help you in some way.
It's a
It's
great
your
point.
time, like. It's come in your time. So we
Yeah.
should enjoy this. It's a good opportunity to improve our personal skills or something like this. Especially we're talking about language, we're talking about cultures. You can easily ask them about different cultures, things.
Yeah.
So I definitely would say yes.
All right. Very nice. Um, as I look at my questions, I think we already covered your favorite dishes when we talked about foods,
Yeah,
or we
definitely.
we covered all of them,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Because food is a very nice topic.
Yes, it is indeed.
So we just naturally covered that already.
Mhm.
Um, Looking at the next question, I'm also not sure if we might have already talked about it during the podcast, but what is the best piece of advice that you've ever received? Is there one thing that you would say someone told you or you read it somewhere, like the thing that has the most impact in your life? Because we already talked about some things that shape the way you do your things, and we talked about what you believe and how you go about life. But is there anything in particular you would say that's the one thing?
I would get with make mistakes.
Right.
Doesn't matter. Make mistakes and learn through them. I would get with this one. And all of us are learning, and sometimes some people just are just pretending know something, you know?
Definitely.
You
There's a
know,
lot of people like
yeah, when you are at the school and the teacher asks you about the subject in particular, and you ask him like, "Oh, I cannot understand what you're talking about. Can you say it again?"
yeah.
And but just you said it, just you know. But it's happened to me like, and I look at to my side, and my friend was like, "Thank you for asking me that," you
Right.
know. And
They also don't know.
yeah, so it's not only you that don't know something. I would say the majority of people
Yeah.
doesn't know,
Yeah.
and through they learn through your mistakes is the best way, I think. I sometimes okay, sometimes it's not the best, but if you can learn through the older mistakes, is better.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, because you can. Okay, I don't need to put my finger and the in the plug,
Yeah.
and on the wall because you saw something someone do.
Because someone already
Yeah, I did this. So obviously you don't need to do the same because you learn through them through their mistakes. But I'm saying there is something when you do something, you know,
it has.
as I said before,
Yeah.
is I think there is more impact in your life when you do something.
Definitely. And
I would get this one, making mistakes.
yeah, don't be afraid to make mistakes. You will learn from your failures.
But make mistakes and fix them after that. Okay. Just to be clear.
Don't repeat the mistake.
Yeah, because like you cannot just make a mistake and just keep doing the same all the time. Come on.
Exactly.
I have to say that otherwise like what are you talking about? So it's free to make mistake all the time? No, it's not. But if you do, fix that and through and learn through that.
And then I think the last question that I'll ask you today is, because sports is also a big part of your life. You also
Yeah.
like to go to the gym. And is there a workout or a exercise routine, like one in particular that you could tell other people this is a good thing to do? This is an important, if they only have like a limited amount of time in their day, what would you say is important for them to keep a good health?
When you have a favorite sport, it's easier to be health, to
Right.
keep health, to keep yourself health. But if you don't have one, because a lot of people don't have, they only likes like watching someone playing this sport, for example, basketball or football. But I would say go to the gym, work out, because at the same time that you are improving your body, you are improve your mental health. You know,
That
I didn't know about that before I started the gym, but I also through I also I also learned through that, you know, and it's helped me a lot to be more concentrated, more focused, to be more present, you know.
yeah,
So helping me my body, my health, and also helping my mind. So I would get this one, work out, go to the gym. I think that's important when you don't have like a specific hobby or sport in your mind, in your life.
yeah,
And if you have both of them, just keep doing both of them.
yeah. I think that's a good thing. The easiest kind of physical activity is always if we do something we like. So
Yeah,
if there's a sport that you enjoy doing,
yeah,
just just do that. Um, but yeah, I can definitely also say when I don't have the time to go to the gym or do anything physical for a few weeks, I don't feel as happy. You know, you can really feel it in your mind as well. Like once you get back to the gym, go back to playing basketball for me personally. It's like, yeah, I have more energy again. I'm happier again. So definitely it's not only a benefit for your body, but also for your
For your
mind.
mind, yeah, for sure it is.
Right. So I think we're at the end of our talk. All I can say is thank you very much, Joel. It was a wonderful, interesting talk. And yeah, think people have taken away a lot from it.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate. Thank you for letting me be part of this,
Of course.
part of your dreams. It's amazing. It's a new experience to me. So thank you. And if you are here, thank you. Thank you for being here as well. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much.
All right. Then have a nice evening and bye, everyone.
Peace.